Testing.
All right, students, we're about to start our program. Good morning. We need everyone on level 0. Teachers, thank you for your help so we can have a successful program. Our students have practiced very hard, so we look forward to you showing your respect and being good listeners. Thank you.
Welcome, welcome to our 2025 Black History Month program. We are excited to honor those who came before us to pave the way, celebrate the accomplishments of historical and perhaps little known Black figures, and empower you to make a difference in your community and the world around you. Throughout history, many individuals have encountered hardships, struggles, and disappointments that caused some to give up. Rather than settling for an unfulfilled life, these individuals decided to take risk, stand up for change. Standing up for change can be difficult. You may feel like others will not agree with you. You may feel lonely in your journey. But just like people such as Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., Rosa Parks, and Harriet Tubman, you too can make a change. You too can feel empowered to make the world around you, the community around you, and even your school a better place for all people. Honor, celebrate, and empower. They did it, and you can too.
A Caged Bird by Maya Angelou. A free bird leaps on the back of the wind and floats downstream till the current ends and dips its wings in the orange sun rays, and dares to claim the sky. But a bird that stalks down his narrow cage can seldom see through his bars of rage. His wings are clipped and his feet are tied, so he opens his throat to sing. The caged bird sings with a fearful thrill of things unknown, but long for still, and his tunes is heard on a distant hill, for the caged bird sing of freedom. The bird thinks of another breeze in a trade wind soft through the sighing trees, and the fat worms waiting on the dawn bright lawn, and he names the sky his own. But a caged bird stands on the grave of dreams, his shadow shouts on a nightmare scream. His wings are clipped and his feet are tied, so he opens his throat to sing. The caged bird sings with a fearful thrill of things unknown, but for long still, and his tune is heard on his distant hill, for the caged bird sings of freedom.
Thurgood Marshall Supreme Court Judge. Thurgood Marshall may have been inspired to become a lawyer after pulling a prank in high school. As punishment, his principal made Marshall read the U.S. Constitution, which outlines the rights all Americans should have. But Marshall was born on July 2, 1908 in Maryland, eh, a time when black people were discriminated against in southern states. He knew that black people didn't have the same rights as other white Americans and realized the best way to fight for justice was through the law. After graduating from law school, Marshall started working on civil rights cases to fight for equality for African Americans. But probably his best known case was Brown versus Board of Education, which challenged school segregation when when white and black students are forced to go to separate schools. Marshall argued in front of the Supreme Court, the highest court in the United States, that separate was not equal, as people who supported segregation believed the justices agreed with Marshall, and in 1954 school segregation was abolished. Desegregation happened slowly, but Marshall kept fighting. Then in 1967, President Lyndon B. Johnson appointed him as the first African American justice to serve on the Supreme Court. He continued to fight for civil rights using the law to protect all people. He died on January 24, 1993, and leaves a legacy behind to keep pushing until you see a positive change. We salute you, Thurgood Marshall.
Harriet Tubman, conductor of the Underground Railroad. Harriet Tubman cautiously watched the shore from one of 3 gunboats on Combahee River. She and several hundred Union soldiers were preparing a raid to free hundreds of enslaved people from plantations in South Carolina, part of the Confederate States that were fighting against the Union during the Civil War of 1861 to 1865. Enemy soldiers were hiding nearby. Success was far from granted. Harriet Tubman is well known for risking her life as a conductor in the Underground Railroad, which led escaped enslaved people to freedom in the North. But the former enslaved woman also served as a spy for the Union during the Civil War. Tubman decided to help the Union Army because she wanted freedom for all of the people who were forced into slavery, not just the few she could help on the Underground Railroad. And she convinced many other brave African Americans to join her as spies, even at the risk of death if they were caught. In one of her most dramatic and dangerous roles, Tubman helped Colonel James Montgomery plan a raid to free enslaved people from plantations along the Combahee River in South Carolina. Tubman was brave, persistent, and determined to fight for equality for all people. We salute you, Harriet Tubman.
She was the first African American woman to obtain an international pilot's license, soaring to new heights that black people in the United States had never reached before. But as a black woman in the 1920s, she faced many obstacles because of her race and gender. She would say that the air is the only place free from prejudice. Coleman was born in Texas in 1892, the 10th of 13 children. Her parents were both sharecroppers who picked cotton for a landowner. When she was young, her family moved to Waxahachie, Texas, where she attended segregated schools, meaning black children went to separate schools, which usually weren't as good as schools for white children. She eventually moved to Chicago, Illinois in 1915 and worked in a barbershop painting fingernails. When her brother John returned from fighting in France during World War I, he told stories of the freedom that women overseas enjoy. They could be pilots, he said. That sparked Bessie's new dream, to work in aviation. She saved up money and applied to U.S. flight schools, but every school rejected her because she was black and a woman. Finally, someone suggested she try schools in France. She learned French, left the USA, and enrolled in the Colgan Brothers School of Aviation in Le Crotoy, France. She learned her international pilot's license on June 15, 1921, within a year of enrolling. Afterward, she studied stunt flying across Europe. When she returned to the United States in 1922 as an aerial acrobat, Coleman amazed black and white audiences with her daredevil feats, known as Queen Bess and Brave Bessie. She would do loops, barrel rolls, and figure eights in her plane. She'd even walk on the wings and parachute out. She also used her fame to fight racism and segregation, refusing to fly in shows that forced black and white spectators to enter through separate gates. In 1923, Coleman survived a bad accident that left her with a broken leg and ribs, but soon she recovered and started doing stunts at air shows again. Her goal was to open a school for black pilots, but she never completed that dream. On April 30th, 1926, she died in a plane accident, but her courageous feats of flight have inspired a fleet of black women pilots who came after her and journeyed to the sky. We salute you, Bessie Coleman.
Ida B. Wells was born into slavery in Mississippi on July 16, 1862, less than a year before Emancipation Proclamation of 1863 freed enslaved people after moving to Tennessee. She was about 20 years old. Wells began writing for black newspapers, speaking out against segregated schools, which forced black children to go to separate schools and other forms of discrimination in the southern states. But after a friend was killed by a mob of disgruntled people, Wells knew more had to be done. For several months, she traveled throughout the South, interviewing and investigating records about similar attacks. Then she wrote and published the article in a Tennessee newspaper that she wrote and published. Co-owned. The article told the truth about what was happening to black people, but the stories made people angry. Some stormed her office and destroyed her press. Eventually, Wells had to leave the South forever. That dangerous experience did not stop Wells from writing after moving to New York City and then Chicago. She continued to report about the discrimination against black people, and her articles were read by people across the country using reporting methods that are still used today. She explored conditions that African Americans were forced to live under. She died on March 25, 1931, but still inspires people to fight for change. We salute you, journalist Ida B. Wells.
Mother to Son by Langston Hughes.
Well, son, I'll tell you, life for me ain't been no crystal stair. It had tacks in it and splinters and boards torn up in places with no carpet on the floor bare. But all the time I've been on a climbing on and reaching landings and turning corners and sometimes going in the dark where there ain't been no light. Hillboy, don't you turn back, don't you sit down on the steps, 'cause you find it's kinder hard. Don't you fall now, for I'll still going, honey. I'll still climbing, and life for me ain't been no crystal stair.
I love myself, I love my skin, I love my hair, my melanin. Even when I lose, was born to win. I never quit, just try again. I love myself, I love my skin, I love my hair, my melanin. Even when I lose, was born to win. I never quit, just try again. When I look in the mirror, what do I see? I can be anything I wanna be. When I look in the mirror, what do I see? I can be anything I wanna be. I am strong, I am strong, I am smart, I am smart, I am nice, I am nice. Use my heart, I believe in myself, I don't play, I don't play. So I say this in the mirror every day. What I say, I am strong, I am strong, I am smart, I am smart, I am nice, I am nice. Use my heart, I believe in myself. So I say this in the mirror every day. When I say, I love myself, I love my skin, I love my hair, my melanin. Even when I lose, was born to win. I never quit, just try again. I love myself, I love my skin, I love my hair, my melanin. Even when I lose, was born to win. I never quit, just try again. When I look in the mirror, what do I see? I can be anything I wanna be. When I look in the mirror, what do I see? I can be anything I wanna be. I am strong, I am strong, I am smart, I am smart, I am nice, I am nice. Use my heart, I believe in myself, I don't play, I don't play. So I say this in the mirror every day. What I say, I am strong, I am strong, I am smart, I am smart, I am nice, I am nice. Use my heart, I believe in myself, I don't play, I don't play. So I say this in the mirror every day. When I say, I love my skin.
Booker T. Washington really wanted to go to school. Born on April 5, 1856, a time when most black children weren't educated, he wanted to go to school so badly that at 16, without money or a map, the former slave traveled 500 miles by foot and train across Virginia to enroll. Inspired to spread knowledge to others, Washington later established and became the first principal and teacher of Tuskegee Institute in Alabama.
Opened in 1881, the school taught academic as well as practice skills like farming and blacksmithing to newly freed African Americans who would then be able to make more money as well as teach the skills to others. In the beginning, Washington taught 30 students in a one-room shack and an empty church. Just in 15 years, thanks to his leadership and influence, the school soon grew to 800 students, 79 teachers, and 30 buildings. One famous teacher was George Washington Carver. Booker T continued as Tuskegee's principal until his death on November 14th, 1915, educating new generations of teachers and skilled workers. The school continues today and is now called Tuskegee University. Tuskegee University is proud to be the only HBCU to proudly offer ROTC programs for all branches of the military, including the Space Force. We salute the great educator Booker T. Washington.
Life and harmony, in the harmony, in the harvest land of the Savior's land. The Savior's land, the Savior's land, the Savior's land, save in the harmony, harmony, save in the harmony, harmony, save in the Savior's land, harmony, save in the Savior's land, there's harmony, save in the Savior's land, oh, save the sand, save the Savior's land, one, save the sand, one, save the sand, so no, save the sand, save the sand. Harmony, saving the harmony, in harmony, just living the harmony, harmony, save the land, harmony. He was born 194, save the land, some Savior's land, save the harmony. Harmony, was born in 1984. It's harmony, 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 saving the harmony, harmony, saving the Savior's land, harmony.
Parks stood up for African Americans by sitting down. Although Abraham Lincoln's 1863 Emancipation Proclamation granted slaves their freedom, for many years, black people were discriminated against in much of the United States. In southern states, for instance, most black children were forced to attend separate schools from white kids in classrooms that were often run down with outdated books. African Americans also couldn't eat at the same restaurants as white people and had to sit in the back seats of public buses. Segregation, the separation of races, was enforced by local laws. Rosa Parks was born in 1913. On December 1st, 1955, she boarded a city bus in Montgomery, Alabama, and sat in the middle where black passengers in that city were allowed to sit unless a white person wanted the seat. As the bus filled with new riders, the driver told Parks to give up her seat to a white passenger. She refused. The driver called the police and Parks was arrested. Her arrest sparked a major protest for more than a year. Most black people in Montgomery stood together and refused to take city buses. One of the leaders of the boycott was a young local pastor named Martin Luther King Jr. Public vehicles stood idle and the city lost money. Still, the Montgomery bus boycott didn't end until a 1956 Supreme Court decision ended racial segregation on public transportation throughout the United States. Rosa Parks died on October 24, 2005, but throughout her life, her refusal to give up her seat inspired many others to fight for African American rights and helped advance the civil rights movement of the 1950s and 60s. We salute you, Rosa Parks.
Let's okay. I'll go first since you do it. No, wait.
Still I Rise by Maya Angelou. You may write me down in history with your bitter, twisted lies. You may trod me in the very dirt, but still like dust I'll rise.
Does my sassiness upset you? Why are you beset with gloom? 'Cause I walk like I've got oil wells pumping in my living room. And just like moons and like suns, with the certainty of tides, just like hope springing high, still I rise.
Did you want to see my broken, bowed head and lowered eyes, shoulders falling down like teardrops, listening my soulful cries? Does my hauntedness offend you? Don't you take it awful hard? 'Cause I laugh like I'm got gold mines digging in my own backyard.
You may shoot me with your words, cut me with your eyes, kill me with your hatefulness, but still, like air, I'll rise.
Out of the husk of history, shame I rise, up from the past that roots in pain I rise. I'm a black ocean leaping and wide, welling and swelling, I bear any tide.
Leaving behind nights of terror and fear, I rise into the daybreak that's wondrously clear. I rise, bringing the gifts that my ancestors gave.
I am the dream and the hope of the slave. I rise, I rise, I rise.
The stars were always within reach for Katherine Johnson. She used her mathematics skills. She helped NASA send astronauts to the moon and return them safely home. She also overcame racial and gender hurdles that helped make giant leaps for humankind. Johnson was born in West Virginia in 1918. Math came easy to her, but she worked hard to master geometry and algebra. She started high school when she was just 10 years old and college when she was 15. After she graduated with honors at 18, Johnson taught black students math. She later enrolled in graduate school at West Virginia University to study math, but left early to raise a family and return to teaching. When Katherine Johnson was 34 years old, she learned about jobs for black women with mathematics and computers skills at at the Langley Laboratory at the National Advisory Committee for Aeronautics, which would later become NASA. She and the other women worked as human computers, figuring out the difficult calculations needed for spaceflight. During her time there, she broke many racial barriers, like using the bathroom that was supposed to be for white women only. One of the biggest accomplishments at NASA was helping calculate the trajectory or path of the country's first junior that had a safe the country's first human spaceflight in 1961, making sure astronaut Alan B. Shepard Jr. had a safe trip. A year later, she helped figure out John Glenn's orbit of the planet, another American first. In 1969, she calculated the trajectories of Neil Armstrong's historic mission to the moon on Apollo 11. One of her biggest accomplishments at NASA was helping calculate the path of the country's first human spaceflight in 1961, making sure planet, another American first. In 1969, she calculated. Yet unlike the white male astronaut, she helped launch into space. No one knew of Johnson and dozens of the other black women's groundbreaking work for NASA and space exploration. It wasn't until the 2016 release of the movie Hidden Figures that these women received widespread recognition. Johnson died in 2020 at the age of 101. In her honor, NASA declared the Katherine G. Johnson Computer Research Faculty at Langley Research Center to commemorate the hard work she did to help take them to the stars. We salute you, Katherine Johnson.
John Lewis, Congressman. Growing up in the South during a time when black people did not have the same rights as white people, John Lewis faced racial discrimination and he did not like it. He fought for equality during the Civil Rights Movement, marching with Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. against oppression and risking his life for justice through grit and determination. He went from sitting on bus seats as an act of civil disobedience during the Freedom Rides to sitting in the halls of Congress as a champion for civil liberties. Lewis was born on February 21st, 1940 in rural Alabama. His parents were sharecroppers who worked on a farm picking cotton for landowners. As a young boy, Lewis also picked cotton and did other farm duties with his family. It was hard work, but he enjoyed being with the chickens. Lewis helped organize lunch sit-ins against segregated restaurants where black and white people could not eat together. Sometimes he'd be arrested for his actions, but Lewis accepted being thrown in jail for fighting what is right, or good trouble, as he'd later call it. Lewis, who was then only 25 years old, marched across the bridge in the fight for equal voting rights for black people. King joined Lewis and thousands of other protesters to march from Selma to Montgomery, Alabama. Their efforts eventually led to the signing of the Voting Rights Act of 1965, which outlawed the discriminatory practices that prevented many black Americans from voting. Lewis eventually became a congressman from Georgia in 1987, serving until his death at the age of 80 in 2020. During his time in Congress, he continued his work for civil rights and encouraged young people to do the hard work necessary to change the country by getting into good trouble. We salute you, John C. Lewis.
I say to you today, my friends, even though we face the difficulties of today and tomorrow, I still have a dream. It is a dream deeply rooted in the American dream. I have a dream that one day this nation will rise up and live out the true meaning of its creed. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal. I have a dream that one day on the red hills of Georgia, the sons of former slaves and the sons of former slave owners will be able to sit down together at the table of brotherhood. I have a dream that one day even the state of Mississippi, a state sweltering with the heat of injustice, sweltering with the heat of oppression, will be transformed into an oasis of freedom and justice. I have a dream with that my 4 little children will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but the content of their character. I have a dream today.
What a wonderful journey we have taken today as we have honored individuals who have come before us. From those who taught us how to be courageous, Harriet Tubman. Those who focused on learning and educating, such as Katherine Johnson and Booker T. Washington. From those who used their ingenuity to make a difference, such as George Washington Carver and Ida B. Wells. To those who spoke up against civil and social injustices with a goal of a world where all people can be respected and treated equitably. We celebrate these accomplishments, but the journey does not stop now. We want to empower you to make a change in our schools and our community. How can you do it? Follow the core values, treat others with kindness and respect, learn a new skill, and help someone in need. A small act of kindness can make a world of difference. You can do it. Say it with me. Together, we can make our world a better place. Say it again. Together, we can make our world a better place.
We hope you enjoyed our program. Thank you guys so much. We hope you enjoyed it. Thank you to our students. Let's give our students a hand. They work very hard to show you some history. Thank you to the staff that helped. Thank you, Ms. Mikeska, Ms. Booth, Ms. Tu, Mr. Wilson, Mr. Olson, and